Chapter 21 Thieves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I hate robbers the most. Yen Jin said coldly. Amon suddenly remembered that she had said that their village was attacked by thieves, and only a few of them were killed. So, robbery, do you pay? That the coachman's expression was a little strange. Isn't she doing the work of a robber now? Although the target is also a robber, as if she noticed his strange expression, Yen Jin explained, I am stealing for the heaven. Be careful. Thunder exploded, and Lei Yin's body was wrapped in lightning. He flashed to Yen Jin's side, and a long sword condensed by lightning appeared in his hand. His first soul ring is similar to Yen Jin's, both of which are martial soul condensation, which can change the shape of their own martial souls at will and condense them into what they want. Lei Yin waved his long sword and forced back the short black-clothed man who sneaked up to Yen Jin and suddenly burst into a sneak attack. He, there are also famous soul masters. I underestimated you. The man in black said in a hoarse and low voice, but they are just two little kids. He showed his martial soul, a mouse with a lot of wrinkles on the skin and no hair. The three soul rings of white, yellow and purple complement each other, exuding a faint sense of oppression. Soul Master. Lei Yin frowned. In Frostleaf City, Soul Master is completely considered a master. I didn't expect that there would be a Soul Master hiding among a group of robbers I met on the road. It's not like I haven't beaten them before. Yen Jin said nonchalantly. The huge lava fist appeared again and smashed hard at the Soul Master who had been possessed by the martial soul and turned into a rat man. Amon gently pinched the monocle and activated his soul skills. Under the cover of the first soul ring, the martial soul ring, and the changes in soul power that had not yet left the body all disappeared quietly. Only a layer of soul power fluctuations that were so subtle that they were almost undetectable, mixed with spiritual power, spread out like ripples with him as the center. Ratman saw the huge lava fist coming towards him and was about to use his skills to deal with it. Suddenly, his thinking ability decreased and his thinking activities slowed down. Who am I? What am I going to do? What is that fist? Oh, I have to avoid it. The deadly sense of crisis woke him up suddenly. At this juncture, a moment of delay in thinking is fatal. He had no time to dodge, and the lava was close at hand. Ratman's Soul Master could only scream no in fear and despair, and was then swallowed by the magma. The thieves who lost their leader fled in a hurry. Lei Yin, who was usually gentle, showed an unusual cruelty at this moment. He chased after them and chopped off the heads of the thieves one by one with his thunder sword. Too easy, right? Yen Jin frowned, glanced at Amon, who was sitting on the top of the carriage with a smile, and asked suspiciously, what did you do? Do you want to experience it yourself? Amon chuckled. As he said that, he threw a fraud at Yen Jin, and then whispered. You don't need to know so much. We are partners. Just relax and trust me. In the future, when you encounter such a situation, just do it directly. You see, our cooperation this time is very tacit. A Soul Master solved it so easily. This is the complete use of the Soul Skill Swindler. First make the opponent's thinking dull, make others unable to think, and add the passive effect to make the words more convincing. The final result is that Amon's mouth-to-mouth effect is outstanding in a short period of time. Yen Jin subconsciously gave up thinking and gave up his curiosity about Amon's soul skills. He nodded woodenly and said, You are right. After a while, the three returned to the carriage. Amon looked at Yen Jin, who was calm, with surprise and suspicion. The interference of fraud on thinking can only last for a short time. She should have come back to her senses, but she shouldn't be so calm after coming back to her senses. Isn't she surprised, curious, or afraid of this ability to interfere with other people's thinking? Based on Amon's understanding of Yen Jin, she is not the kind of person who can hide her thoughts, and she will definitely show something strange. Unless, she was not thinking in the first place. Not only during the moment when she was affected by the deception effect, but also afterwards. Because she was not thinking, she did not find that her thinking was disturbed, and she did not notice my ability, so she was so calm. Amon felt that he seemed to have found the truth, which was surprising. but not so surprising. Lei Yin looked at Amon and Yan Jin, and felt something was wrong in his heart. He saw the interaction between the two of them, and always felt that something seemed to be skipped in the middle. He scratched his head in confusion and did not go into it. The carriage ticked southward, and the temperature gradually rose. The landscape on both sides of the road was also changing. The various plants and animals that had never been seen in Frost Leaf City opened the eyes of Yan Jin and Lei Yin. For the first time, they knew that there were so many different natural landscapes in the world. The journey was not smooth sailing. In just a few days, they encountered two groups of robbers. The first wave was led by two soul masters, one with a flame bird and the other with a lightning turtle, who were highly resistant to high temperatures and lightning. Amon did not make a move, and Yan Jin and Lei Yin took a lot of effort to kill them. The second wave was led by triplets, all of whom were soul masters, and they cooperated very well. One of them also had the characteristic of resisting mental interference, which made Amon's deception effect very limited. This forced Amon to take it seriously. In addition to using his second soul skill, he also used air bullets several times to break the cooperation of the three of them. Yan Jin seized the opportunity to kill one of them, and then he won the game. Amon noticed something unusual. Lei Yin, do you think there is something wrong with the three gangs of robbers we encountered? Wrong? Lei Yin lowered his head and shook his head. He didn't think there was anything special. The two of them tacitly did not ask Yan Jin for his opinion. Amon pinched his monocle and whispered, these three gangs of thieves are a little more powerful each time. It feels like some kind of level-breaking game. Every time you pass a level, the difficulty of the next level will increase by 1 point. It seems. It is indeed the case. Is it because we are getting closer and closer to Beatty City, and there are many powerful people in big cities, so even the entry threshold of robbers has increased accordingly? Lei Yin said. Maybe. Amon looked at the scene outside through the car window, his expression slightly solemn. Hey, uncle, isn't this road you chose safer? Why are there so many robbers? Yan Jin was playing with a gold bracelet with gemstones that he had snatched from a group of robbers. The coachman wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said with a smile, I have been here several times before. This road is the cargo transportation route of several large chambers of commerce. The general thieves have been cleared out by them. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Thanks to your powerful strength, Master Soul Master, otherwise I would probably have lost my life here. He said flatteringly. Yan Jin just asked casually, without any intention of blaming. She climbed onto the top of the carriage and lay down, crossed her legs and looked at the sky. In the vast sky, the clouds moved with the wind and kept changing their shapes. She stretched out her right hand and made a hollow grip, as if she wanted to grab something. Chapter 22 Iron Heart City. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Amon decided to change the itinerary temporarily. He said to the coachman. I have something to do in Tiexin City for a few days. I will give you a silver soul coin as an extra reward every 2 days during the stay. Okay, Master Soul Master. The coachman happily agreed. He only needed to wait for a while in the city outside the itinerary. He could get a silver soul every 2 days. It was easy and not dangerous. With such good conditions, he wished he could stay for 10 days or half a month. Great, the road is boring enough. Let's play in the city for a few days. Yan Jin agreed with both hands. The coachman changed the direction of travel, and the carriage slowly drove towards Tiexin City. Tiexin City is close to the Tiexin Mountains. It is a medium-sized city, much more prosperous than Frost Leaf City. There was a long queue at the city gate. These were farmers or merchants who wanted to enter the city. Lei Yin asked the coachman to drive the carriage through the convenient passage on the other side. The guard stopped them. Show your certificate. Lei Yin showed them his Soul Master badge. Great Soul Master. The guard looked at Lei Yin with some suspicion. Such a young Great Soul Master is very rare, and the carriage is not luxurious, so he subconsciously does not believe it. Soul Masters can take the fast lane, and the goods they carry are not taxed if the quantity is below a certain level. In addition, as a default rule in private, the guards at the city gate will not search the Soul Master's carriage for prohibited items, which makes some people take risks and pretend to be. He asked. Respectfully but firmly, this sir, can you please show your martial soul? Recently, there are many vendors pretending to be soul masters to smuggle goods. Lei Yin nodded, soul power surged, accompanied by thunder, and silver-white lightning appeared in his palm, emitting dazzling light. 2 yellow soul rings floated quietly. The guard quickly returned the badge to Lei Yin, and at the same time made way. Sir, please come in. The carriage drove into the city slowly. An older guard patted the shoulder of the guard who had just carefully checked him and said, "Boy, don't be so impulsive next time. Fortunately, this lord is more reasonable. Not all soul masters are so easy to talk to. We are just ordinary guards. With this little salary, there is no need to make things difficult for the soul masters. Even if we catch the impostor, what good will it do us? The reward has never been given. On the contrary, if you offend a soul master with a small mind, you will be in big trouble. But isn't this our job?" The young guard muttered in his heart and did not refute. Yan Jin ran to the restaurant happily. She almost vomited after eating dry food for several days in a row. If it was in the past when she was struggling to survive in the West Street of Frostleaf City, she would not mind it, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. After 5 years of good life, she almost forgot the feeling of being satisfied with a piece of cake. "Mr. Amon." Lei Yin looked at Amon. "You go too, we don't need you for now." Amon nodded slightly at him. "Call us if you need anything, we'll be there whenever you ask." After saying that, Lei Yin ran after Yan Jin. He was worried that his sister would cause trouble again. This is not Shuanya City, where fighting is not a common practice. Amon found a street kid and took a silver soul coin in his hand to play with. "I need a guide to tell me where the mercenaries in Tiexin City often gather, and which are the more famous mercenaries. Please introduce them to me." Jiaozi looked at the silver soul coin, and then looked at Amon. Judging from his clothes and temperament, this guy is not easy to mess with. He put away the extra thoughts and greed in his heart, and said in a flattering tone, "Sir, please follow me. In view of the weight of the silver soul coin, I will serve you with the most dedicated attitude, I swear." Jiaozi led the way and introduced. There are 2 more famous mercenary groups in the city. One is the Tiexin mercenary group. It is the largest mercenary group with more than 10 soul masters. Including other ordinary people, the total number of people exceeds 50. The other is the Jackal mercenary group, which is a relatively loose mercenary group composed of more than 10 soul masters. There is no subordinate relationship between its members, and it is rare for all members to go out for a certain task. Generally, a soul master team of 3 or 4 people accepts and completes the commission. In addition, there are several more powerful lone travelers, all of whom are soul masters above level 30. Amon followed him to a tavern. After throwing the silver soul coin to the street urchin, he pushed open the shutter door and walked in. "Master, I will wait at the door. If you have any questions, just tell me. I will serve you all day." In the tavern, there was no noise and bustle as imagined. It was even quiet. People sat at different tables drinking in groups of 3 or 2, and they even spoke in low voices. Amon came to the bar and put a silver soul coin on it. "Give me a glass of barley wine. In addition, can you tell me how to issue a commission to the mercenary group?" The bartender put the wine and change on the bar and whispered. "Go to the 2nd floor, there is a task release board. You can leave a message on it with a silver coin. Write down your task content and contact information. If there are mercenaries interested, they will contact you. On the other board, there are contact information for the major mercenary groups in the city. You can also take the initiative to contact a mercenary group yourself." Amon pushed the change back and continued to ask. "If I want to hunt a soul beast of a certain type and year, what should I do?" "Specified soul beast? Are you going to hunt for soul rings? That's a lot of money." The bartender took the money, thought for a while, and replied. "You can first post a bounty for the soul beast's trace on the task board. Then contact a mercenary group and agree to accompany you to hunt after you get the news. You can also entrust the entire task to a mercenary group, including finding news and helping with hunting. The cost of the former will be relatively lower, but you need to confirm the authenticity of the news yourself. If you make a wasted trip because the news is wrong, the mercenary group will still charge a fee. The second method will cost much more, but it is more stable. Amon pinched his monocle and chuckled, "Can I choose to use both methods?" That the bartender was silent for a while. "If you have money, of course you can. But it's best not to trust mercenaries too much. You know, these people are a mixed bag. Sometimes, they are the biggest source of danger for their employers. Also, a friendly reminder, it's best not to speak too loudly or walk too loudly. There is a soul master who has a bad personality but likes quietness upstairs. He hates being disturbed by others. Thank you for your reminder." Amon nodded and walked up the stairs on the east side to the second floor. There was a young man who looked to be in his 20s by the window on the north side of the second floor. He had golden hair and wore a gorgeous but not complicated hunting suit. A golden iris was embellished on his chest. His black clothes were soft and shiny, and they were worth a lot of money. The young man was holding a glass of red wine and sipping it mouthful by mouthful, as elegant as a classical nobleman. While tasting the red wine, he admired the view outside the window. From this angle, the mountains in the distance were like a giant dragon lying down, the clouds rolled in the sky, the buildings in the city were lined up, and a sun was hanging high in the sky, emitting infinite light. Chapter 23 Vidal. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. He turned his head and his eyes met Amon's. Seeing Amon, who had a bookish temperament and looked like a scholar, he nodded as a greeting. The bartender on the second floor was a little surprised. This was the first time he had seen him take the initiative to greet someone. Amon looked away and soon saw the conspicuous task board. He walked over and said, "I want to post a bounty." The bartender on the second floor was a handsome middle-aged man with neatly combed hair and gold-rimmed glasses. He introduced. "We have a total of 3 chain taverns in the entire Iron Heart City, located in different locations in the city, all of which are places where mercenaries are often active. There are 2 prices for publishing information. One is to publish it in a single tavern, and the price is 2 silver soul coins per week. The other is to publish it in 3 taverns at the same time, and the price is 5 silver soul coins per week. In addition, we will regularly organize and gather the commission information and send it to major mercenary groups. Whether you choose the first or the second, you can enjoy this item." Amon chuckled, "Not bad, help me publish the reward. Choose the second price. The first target is the Eyeless snake with a lifespan of 2,000 to 5,000 years. It should exist in the Iron Heart Mountains, but the number is relatively small. Provide the approximate location, and pay 100 gold soul coins after I succeed in hunting. Take me to find it, regardless of whether the hunting is successful or not, pay 500 gold soul coins. The second target is the Three-Eyed Fox, which is also 2,000 to 5,000 years old. This is not rare in the Iron Heart Mountains. Take me to find it, and the reward is 200 gold soul coins. In addition, I will not accept the second target within 2 weeks. If there is no news about the first target after 2 weeks, then I will settle for the second best. Amon can actually absorb soul rings with a higher age, but the problem is that even if you find a soul beast with a higher age, you may not be able to beat it, and even if you win, you may not be able to kill it. The strength of the high-level mercenaries in Tiexin City is basically soul master, and the soul beast of 5,000 years is almost their hunting limit, so although this is not the best, it is the most suitable. After hearing Amon's conditions, the bartender said to him, "There is one thing you need to know. Our tavern is just an information exchange point. We are not responsible for confirming the authenticity of the information, nor are we responsible for restraining both parties. Everything depends on you." Amon nodded, "I know." After paying the fee to post the message on the task board for 2 weeks, he set his eyes on another board with the contact addresses of various mercenary groups. He wrote down the first few, and a few strong lone rangers. Just then, a familiar voice came. "Give me a glass of sweet plum wine, and this, except for these few, give me all the other dishes." Yan Jin walked into the tavern and shouted loudly. Lei Yin persuaded, "Sister, please order less, we can't eat so much." "We can eat, don't doubt my stomach." The bartender on the first floor changed his expression and reminded in a low voice, "Dear guest, please be quiet, the noise will disturb other guests." "Ah. Isn't this a pub?" Yan Jin was a little confused. "I said something was wrong, you are too quiet, the pub should be lively." Since Yan Jin came in, the young man sitting on the second floor with the best view had put down his glass and showed impatience on his face. Hearing that she was noisy despite the bartender's dissuasion, he couldn't help but stand up. Half of the area on the second floor of the pub was given to the original height of the house, and you can directly see the scene of a mouthful. The young man in luxurious clothes walked to the edge of the railing on the second floor and looked down at Yan Jin from a high position. He said, "Where did you come from, kid? Didn't your parents teach you not to affect others? Get them out." "Ah. Master Vidal, this." The bartender looked embarrassed. Driving customers out would damage the reputation of the tavern. "Who are you? This is a tavern. What kind of tavern is it if there are no bragging and fighting? There's no sign that you need to keep quiet." Yan Jin looked unhappy. "Also, what are you so proud of? Is this your family's business? Master Vidal is the son of the city lord, a level 29 great soul master. In addition, the tavern is indeed owned by the city lord." Seeing Yan Jin's confrontational attitude, the bartender kindly reminded her of Vidal's identity, hoping that she would give up. "Hey. It's really yours." Yan Jin was stunned. "Humph, just a bully. Since it's yours and you think it's noisy, you can make a soundproof box. Vidal's suggestion is very good." Vidal turned his head and said to the bartender on the second floor, "Arrange it for me." "Okay, I'll contact the craftsman to modify it later. Since your suggestion is good, I forgive your offense." Vidal said in a condescending tone, as if it was a charity. Yan Jin raised his eyebrows. "It makes me feel like I need your forgiveness, golden retriever. Don't challenge my tolerance again and again." Vidal's expression darkened. "Want to fight?" Yan Jin didn't tolerate him and looked at him coldly. The soul power surged, accompanied by brilliant light. 2 yellow soul rings rose from Vidal's body. His martial soul was a gem cat, a soul beast with heterochromatic eyes and elegant body. A calm, cold, yet somewhat domineering voice echoed in the tavern, "You pissed me off." The rest of the guests in the tavern were not panicked by the conflict, and they all watched the scene with interest. They were also somewhat dissatisfied with Vidal, but due to his status as the son of the city lord and the strength of a great soul master, no one dared to show it. Now seeing 2 young men who seemed to have some confidence challenging him, they all had the mentality of watching a good show. "How about going out to fight? I'm worried that you will blackmail me if I break something." Yan Jin raised his arm and pointed his thumb at the street behind him. "Hee, how many things will be broken when I teach you 2 little brats a lesson? Don't worry, you don't have to pay, I will only beat you to kneel down and apologize and beg for mercy." Vidal smiled coldly. "No need to pay. That's what you said. Z. Xiong." The flames burned and extinguished, and billowing smoke drifted away from Yan Jin's body. Bursts of red light came out of her arms, and the magma continued to increase, emitting amazing heat. 2 yellow soul rings lit up, and the soft halo was not dazzling, but solid and undispersed. Looking at her arms that were completely covered with magma and became several times thicker, and the waves of heat in the air, Vidal suddenly had an ominous premonition. "Wait." Before he could finish his words, a ball of magma shot like a cannonball and made him swallow the rest of his words. Yan Jin's second soul ring skill is soul power ejection, which has the effect of directional explosion of soul power to push objects to move at high speed. She can use this to launch magma, creating an effect similar to a volcanic bomb. Soul power ejection has an unfixed consumption and can be changed as you wish. The more it consumes, the faster it is given. Chapter 24, The Master of Demolition. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After being possessed by the spirit, Vidal's ears turned into cat ears, a cat tail appeared behind him, and his eyes turned into gold and silver like the gem cat. Unlike Glenn's possession, his hands were still human palms. The first spirit ring lit up. Vidal stretched out his right hand, spread his 5 fingers, and a light pink gem-shaped shield appeared in the air, blocking the lava ball. Unlike the pure energy attack of general offensive spirit skills, the magma is physical. After being blocked, it scattered and fell on the floor, table, and chair. The high temperature ignited the wood, and clusters of flames emerged in the tavern. The bartender and the guests all ran out, not too far away, looking through the door on the street. Seeing this scene, Vidal's already bad mood became worse, and he suddenly regretted not agreeing to fight outside. He wanted to temporarily stop the battle, but his pride made him unable to lose face. But soon, he didn't have the mind to think so much, and the volcanic bombs one after another made him tired of dealing with them. The strong impact made his arms numb. Vidal's defensive soul skill gem shield is effective in dealing with energy attacks, but when attacked by entities, although it can be blocked, the impact will be transmitted to the body and needs to be borne by oneself. This kid, does she have too much soul power to use up? How many times has she used her soul skills? Vidal looked solemn, and he admitted that he underestimated his opponent. Yan Jin's 2 soul skills are actually improving her use of martial soul and soul power. Originally, in Amon's plan, these should be achieved by soul power control skills, but improving control skills is more difficult than he expected. At least Yan Jin can't do it. So he had to use corresponding soul skills to make up for it. These soul skills that improve their own control have one thing in common, that is, they consume very little, almost nothing. Because this will not affect reality, Yan Jin's attack actually consumes only 2 points. One is the consumption of expanding the magma martial soul, and the other is the consumption of emitting magma and giving it speed. As for the fact that the lethality has no lethality increase, it is not a big problem. The characteristics of magma itself are destructive enough. Bang! That the crystal shield shattered, and Vidal retreated a few steps, hiding from Yanjin's sight under the cover of the 2nd floor. Wow, not bad, you can take so many of my volcanic bombs. Yanjin looked relaxed. The flames had already burned to her side, licking her body, but she seemed not to see it. After she summoned her martial soul, she was immune to all fire damage with a lower temperature than her martial soul. Then how about this move? Big fire spray. The floor turned red. Vidal's face changed, the 2nd soul ring lit up, and he quickly retreated, pulled up the bartender on the 2nd floor hiding in the corner, and jumped out of the window. The huge lava fist pierced through the floor, and the roof was lifted up without losing momentum. From a distance, it was like a giant waking up underground and stretching out his palm. The tavern with a destroyed weighing structure collapsed and turned into a pile of ruins. Amon made a TSK sound, looking a little helpless. In the past, Yan Jin only used his fists to fight, which could not cause much damage. Now, when he encounters a conflict with a soul master, he will destroy the house at any time. He is simply a highly efficient era. Vidal stared blankly at his own tavern turned into a ruin, with a dazed look on his face. The moment he saw Yan Jin's martial spirit, he had a bad premonition, and 2 minutes later, this premonition became a reality. The flames burned fiercely, and from time to time there were explosions of bottles bursting or heavy objects falling in the ruins. Lei Yin was stunned. He couldn't understand how it turned into such a situation in the blink of an eye just to have a meal. Looking at Yan Jin walking out of the flames surrounded by magma, Vidal loosened his clenched fists and gave up fighting. His 2nd soul skill is a skill that improves his agility and speed. Using this soul skill to rush over and fight Yan Jin is simply a dead end, unless it is a war of attrition, but that is meaningless. Vidal suddenly laughed, clapped his hands, and praised, "Good, very good, this is the first time I see someone as powerful as you at your age. What's your name?" "Yan Jin." "My name is Vidal. I admit that I was wrong, I lack respect for the strong, it's my fault," he said with some apology. Hearing him say this, Yan Jin also felt a little embarrassed. Looking at the ruined tavern, he smiled awkwardly. Sorry, I went a little too far, this. Don't worry, you don't have to pay, we agreed at the beginning, if it's damaged, it's my fault." Vidal's face flashed a trace of pain. Even if he has a city lord father and a big family, he can't stand such a toss. Yan Jin, is this your first time in Tiexin City? What are you here for? Yes, it's the first time. As for what? I don't know, but I should stay for a few days. You have to ask Amon. Amon. Vidal adjusted the wrinkles on his clothes. Is he your elder? I guess so. Hey. You are here too. Yan Jin was surprised to see Amon walking out of the burning ruins. Amon pinched his monocle and chuckled. I'm also surprised. It's been less than half a day and you've already clashed with others. I saw the battle just now. There is still a lot of unnecessary waste in your attack. The big fire-breathing move just now consumed too much soul power. You obviously have more solutions that consume less and cause less noise. Of course I know, but I don't like Golden Retriever. Since it's his fault if I break it, I will deliberately use a destructive move. Yan Jin didn't say this in front of Vidal, but just smiled. I'm sorry, Yan Jin has been naughty since he was a child. Amon said to Vidal. Who are you? Seeing Amon walk out of the burning ruins, his body still spotless, Vidal knew that this was not a simple person, and he did not maintain an arrogant attitude. I am Amon, half teacher and half brother to them. We are on our way to the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy, and we are doing some repairs here. Vidal's eyes lit up. Would you like to come to my house as a guest? I also know a lot about the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy. Amon smiled and shook his head. That's not necessary. Yan Jin has always been good at demolishing homes. Let's do that. The other 2 taverns will release the news about the reward. We look forward to seeing you again. Vidal smiled meaningfully at them. Golden Retriever, you're not bad, let's have a serious fight next time. Yan Jin said with a smile. Vidal shrugged, yes, but only if it cannot be in my family's property. After they parted ways, the bartender on the second floor asked Vidal, Master, is that all? Of course, not. Vidal smiled, that Amon needs to hunt 2,000 to 5,000 years of soul beasts. He should be a 40-level soul master, the kind who will soon become a soul sect. Yan Jin doesn't look big, but it makes me feel extremely troublesome. Even if we put her in a head-on confrontation in an open area, I'm not sure I can win her. The other child doesn't know very well, but it's probably not simple either. Such a person will definitely be the target of wooing by all parties when he arrives at the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy. How can we just let it go? Send people to find the Eyeless snake quickly. I want to receive this reward, don't let others get there first. Chapter 25 Vidal's Purpose. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As Bidar's order was issued, the power of the City Lord's palace came into operation. All the mercenary groups in Iron Heart City knew that Master Vidal needed to find an eyeless snake, and on the 5th day someone claimed to have found the target. The turmoil in the soul slowly subsided, and Vidal exited from the cultivation state, with a trace of joy on his face, level 30. After walking out of the room, he called the waiter and asked, Where is my father? The waiter replied, Mr. Anderson was here just now, and he asked me to convey to the young master that the city lord is busy with something, so the young master needs you to organize your own manpower to hunt the soul beasts. What's more important than me hunting for a soul ring? Vidal frowned. The waiter replied respectfully, This is not something I can know, young master. Also, the wind attribute cat soul beast and the eyeless snake, you need have been identified, and some mercenaries have found their traces. Where are the people? Waiting in the lobby now. Vidal came to the hall and saw the waiting mercenaries. He had some impression of this person. His name was Norbert. He was a lone traveler with good strength and a soul master. Did you find the soul beast I was looking for? Yes, a Fengxing tiger that is about 1,500 years old, and an eyeless snake that is more than 5,000 years old. Norbert responded. Take me to find them, and 1,000 gold soul coins will be yours. Vidal said directly without any greetings. He didn't show much respect for this kind of person who was still only at level 30 after exhausting his potential. After all, he himself will soon be over level 30, and there is still a lot of room for development in the future. This is just the reward for finding them. Norbert said in a positive tone. Vidal shrugged, yes, just find it. If you need to take action, I will pay extra. Okay, when will we set off? The two are in the same area. I'm worried that if we delay for too long, the wind-walking tiger may be eaten by the eyeless snake. The latter seems to be tracking the former. Norbert reminded. Tomorrow. Lava surged, thunder roared, and lightning and magma intertwined in the wide open space, colliding with each other from time to time. Yen Jin is sparring with Lei Yin. They all have Amon's worm of time in their bodies, and this is of their own free will. Of course, they didn't know that this was parasitism. They only thought that Amon's martial soul could integrate into other people's bodies to provide assistance. The time worm clone can also use the ability to attach external soul bones, because what this soul bone gives Amon is a soul power characteristic. As long as it is his soul power, he will have this characteristic. The time clones parasitic in the bodies of Yen Jin and Lei Yin covered the surface of their bodies with a layer of soul power membrane, allowing them to exert their power. Without worrying about hurting each other, in addition, the time clones are also continuously providing them with soul power, which allows the two to practice for a long time. Big fire breathing. Brontosaurus, the huge fist composed of magma collided with the giant dragon formed by lightning, and a huge impact swept in all directions. Dust was scattered and the roar was deafening. Vidal, who came to see Amon, saw this scene. A drop of cold sweat flowed from his forehead, and then he became more enthusiastic. Brother Amon, I'm here to collect your reward. Are you ready for the 500 gold soul coins? Amon smiled, knowing that he was showing his kindness. That's really what I'm looking forward to. Is it okay to leave tomorrow? I happen to be at level 30 and need to hunt for soul rings. Tomorrow? Time is a bit tight. It seems I have to hire some people quickly. Amon said softly. Vidal smiled and shook his head. There's no need for that. You probably can't hire anyone. Most of the idle mercenary groups in the city accepted my employment. The two mercenary groups of the Iron Heart Mercenary Group and the Jackal Mercenary Group, a team of 3 and 4 solo soul masters. The corner of Amon's mouth twitched slightly. This should cost a lot, right? It's not bad, just over 30,000 gold soul coins, a total of 8 soul masters and 15 great soul masters. This is much more than the total funding Ma Wen has provided them over the years. If only Vidal hunted the soul ring by himself, the number of soul beasts that needed to be hunted would not exceed 1,700 years at most. Such a lineup would be redundant. Obviously, it was prepared for Amon. Amon was silent for a moment and asked, "What do you want?" Vidal's smile became even brighter and he said, "Are the 3 of you going to join the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy?" Amon nodded. "That's a coincidence. I'm a student in the college now. Maybe you should call me senior." "Huh? Jean Mao, are you a student there too?" Yen Jin came over and showed a harmless smile. "Do you know which senior students in the college are more powerful?" Lei Yin was helpless. Seeing Yen Jin's behavior, he knew that she planned to repeat what happened in the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy. Amon glanced at her, and Yen Jin retreated. "Is it related to the academy?" Vidal nodded slightly. "Yes. Do you know about the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition?" "I understand, and to be honest, this is also our goal." "That's great." Vidal showed a look of surprise on his face, and then asked, "Do you know anything about the internal situation of the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy?" Amon shook his head. "I don't know much." "Let me introduce it to you." Vidal pondered for a moment and organized his words. The Northern Advanced Soul Master Academy mainly recruits nobles, but does not exclude talented civilians. Because the Academy's top management has a close relationship with the nobles, the Academy is also greatly influenced by various forces. You should know that the Soul Master competition is a team competition that relies more on teamwork rather than individual bravery. This makes it impossible to select contestants through one-on-one competitions among students. The decision made by the top management is likely to cause dissatisfaction from all parties and is not conducive to stability. If this is done, I am afraid that the nobles will fight fiercely before each competition in order to send their children to that stage, and this will prevent civilian Soul Masters from having the opportunity to go on stage. Those who can enter the Advanced Soul Master Academy must be the most talented among the civilians. Excluding them will not be conducive to the Academy's good results in the Soul Master competition. The final result of the research and discussion is that the Academy does not organize teams, and the students will form teams spontaneously, with 7 regular players and 1 alternate. Students will organize their own teams to compete and decide the strongest team to represent the college. In addition, the college will arrange an individual competition among students to decide the top 3 teams to join the participating teams as substitutes. Amon pinched his monocle and said with a smile, "Do you want to invite the 3 of us to join your team?" "Yes, Amon, come and help me, this is also to fulfill yourself." Vidal stretched out his palm and made an invitation. "If that's the case, please forgive me for refusing." Amon shook his head. Chapter 26 The Current Situation of Northland College. You are listening at NovelFlow.audio. Huh? Why? Vidal was a little surprised. He couldn't figure out why Amon refused. He thought that he was quite strong, and he had a city lord father to rely on. He had a background and ability. It was a win-win choice to cooperate with him. I should have made it very clear just now. The Northern Advanced Soul Master Academy is not a place where you can represent the Academy to participate in the competition just because you have talent and ability. It is impossible for civilian Soul Masters to organize a team. You don't seem to have a big force behind you to support you. Before, there were also civilian Soul Masters who wanted to defeat the teams organized by other noble children, win the competition in the Academy and win the qualification to participate. They are indeed capable, but before the finals in the Academy, the team fell apart. Their members left the team one after another and joined other teams. Some were threatened, some were induced. So if your goal is the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, there must be one person in the team with enough background. Maybe one person is not enough. Or do you think I am too weak and unworthy to team up with you? At the end, Vidal's face also had a hint of anger. He thought he had shown enough respect and kindness to Amon, and he didn't think his strength was bad. In the Northland College, his talent might not be the best, but he was definitely one of the top ones. Amon smiled. I don't think you are weak and unqualified to be with us. I also think it's a good choice to team up with you. Vidal was a little confused by the inconsistent statement. Amon continued, but I won't join your team, I will choose my own partners. My goal is not just to participate in the competition. Don't you think it's interesting to win a championship? Champion. Vidal was surprised at his goal. The Northern Province is a region directly under the jurisdiction of the royal family. It belongs to the Tiendo City Division and has 5 qualifying places. To pass the preliminaries, you must get the top 5 results in many Advanced Soul Master Academies, but the 5 Elemental Academies are like a mountain in front of them, which makes the students of the Northern Academy unable to muster the courage to climb. Vidal's biggest goal is to qualify for the competition. If he can perform well in the preliminaries, it will be even better. He never thought about entering the finals from beginning to end, and as for the championship, it is even more unrealistic. Amon nodded. Yes, the championship. So I need the dominance of the team, and I can't accept people who don't meet the requirements to enter. From your description, in the Northern Academy, the captain of the participating team should have a lot of power, because this is a team competition, and the captain is the core of the team. Ask yourself, if you are the captain, can you refuse those students who are on good terms with your family but are a little bit weaker in strength to join? Vidal fell silent. He shook his head. It's unlikely, I have to compromise. Amon said in a gentle but firm voice. Yes, it involves conflicts of interest, and choices, concessions and compromises must be made. I believe that the conditions for me to compromise will be more difficult to achieve than the conditions for you to compromise. I am not so easy to buy, nor so easy to be threatened, and there are no complicated things such as family affection, friendship, and family relationships to consider. It is not so easy to make me give in. As far as I am concerned, your strength is already the bottom line requirement, but your bottom line seems to be lower. It seems that you are very confident. The champion, that is something I dare not even think about. Vidal laughed dumbly. He glanced at Yan Jin and Lei Yin. His expression was a little helpless. If they are all talented, there may be hope in the next session, but I can't wait that long. I am already 19 years old. However, if you really have the confidence to win the championship and show such strength, then the various forces in the academy will not break up your team. They will only try their best to send the outstanding students who meet your requirements to your team. Amon suggested, how about leaving the captain to the academy to decide? Okay. If you are strong enough, then you will be the captain. Vidal nodded, with some expectation and ambition in his eyes. If possible, he certainly wants to have a better performance. Hey. Golden hair. Amon agreed to your joining. Yan Jin has been paying attention to the movement here, walked over and patted his shoulder and said with a smile, well. As for strength, it's okay. Vidal's mouth twitched, revealing a bitter smile. Yan Jin's words were hurtful because they were the truth. In fact, after the conflict in the tavern, although Vidal affirmed Yan Jin's talent, he did not think that the other party had surpassed him now. He seemed passive in the tavern because the space was small and he could not play the speed advantage. However, after seeing the last scene of her sparring with Lei Yin, he changed his mind and admitted that he could not beat Yan Jin. Maybe Amon said that I was the bottom line, or because I helped him hunt for spirit rings, he lowered some of the requirements and gave me some face. Vidal thought to himself. After Vidal left, Yan Jin asked after realizing it, Amon, you are going to hunt for spirit rings here? Why don't you go to the academy first? Amon pinched his monocle. Maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe not. Anyway, I need to go to the academy with a better and more outstanding attitude. I originally planned to get the spirit ring after going to the academy, and I wanted to use the power of the academy to make hunting easier. As for now, the same effect can be achieved with the help of Vidal. Lei Yin looked a little solemn. Amon would not change the plan casually. The change in the plan meant that something unexpected had happened during this period. Those thieves. What did you say? Yan Jin heard Lei Yin's muttering and asked. No, it's okay. Lei Yin shook his head, looked at Amon and asked, do you need us to go together? Amon nodded. I don't have too many means of attack at the moment, and I need your help. Don't act casually when you reach the Iron Heart Mountains. This time the target is a bit tricky. The eyeless snake is not a soul beast with low combat effectiveness like the slime. On the contrary, they are powerful predators. The 5,000-year-old eyeless snake is as powerful as the best of the Soul Sect, or the General Soul King. Soul King. Lei Yin felt heavy pressure. He and Yan Jin relied on the special nature of their martial souls to fight against soul lords, but it was impossible for them to cross two ranks to challenge soul sects, let alone soul kings. Yan Jin also looked solemn, but said confidently, but since you included it in the hunting range from the beginning, it means that you are sure that you can take it down with the strength of the three of us. Although she didn't like to think much, she knew Amon better than Lei Yin and knew that he would never do anything without confidence. Amon pinched his monocle and smiled noncommittally. Chapter 27 Wind Tiger. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. When Amon arrived at the agreed meeting point with Yan Jin Lei Yin, Vidal was already waiting again. There was a large group of people gathered around him, dressed in various costumes, and they were vaguely divided into three circles. Amon, you're here. I am coming. Vidal enthusiastically introduced to the mercenaries, this is Amon, my friend, and another employer entrusting you this time. Hello, I am Vega, Deputy Commander of the Northland Mercenary Group, and a level 37 War Spirit Master. On Vidal's left-hand side, a sturdy man wearing chainmail and a horn helmet introduced himself. Deputy Leader. Lei Yin was confused. Their leader is busy with other things, otherwise we would be more confident in this operation. He is a soul sect. Vidal said with a slight regret. Vega pointed to the man next to him who was not much taller than Yan Jin. This is my brother Tapa. Reach. Coleman. The leaders of the two three-person teams of the Jackal mercenary group announced their names respectively. Calderon. Levi. Berigny. These are 3 soul-level lone mercenaries. Finally, Norbert nodded towards Amon and said, "My name is Norbert, and I am also the leader." Amon smiled and said, "The eyeless snake that I have seen for 5,000 years can come back alive. It seems that you are very strong. Generally speaking, a soul master cannot hunt alone a soul beast that meets the upper limit of his soul ring. A 5,000-year-old soul ring is the upper limit for a soul sect to absorb, so the strength of a 5,000-year-old eyeless snake can be considered slightly greater than that of a peak soul sect. Eyeless snakes have strong sensory abilities and are ferocious in nature, with a particularly high desire to attack humans." Norbert shook his head. "I just have a unique ability to save my life." "Child." Vega looked at Yen Jin and Lei Yin and frowned. "Master Vidal, with all due respect, we are not going for an outing. That eyeless snake is very dangerous. We don't even have our own safety. It's absolutely impossible to take care of 2 more children. We're not here to have fun, we're also assisting in this hunt." Bear. Accompanied by the sound of burning, thick smoke rose, and the embers covering the magma's right hand gave Vega a strong sense of crisis, making his hair stand on end. Yen Jin took back her martial spirit, and she used the most direct method to silence those who doubted it. The mercenaries looked at Lei Yin in unison, and the latter smiled faintly. The current twisted like a silver snake, followed by a faint sound of thunder. Vega nodded and said no more. "He has no ill intentions. On the contrary, it is out of an attitude of responsibility to everyone that he points out what is wrong." After discovering that Amon was not arrogant and that hunting soul beasts was child's play, he naturally had no reason to dissuade him. Iron Heart City is not far from the Iron Heart Mountains. This city was gradually formed due to the soul beast trade. After less than an hour's journey, they arrived at the foot of the mountain. There are no campsites here like those outside the Shilin Mountains, because Jishin City has already assumed such a function. Norbert and Levi opened the way at the front of the team, Calderon and Bernini were on guard at the back of the team, and the rest surrounded Vidal and Amon in the middle. Everyone was alert, but not too nervous. A great spirit master. Under Vega showed his martial spirit, which was a spirit beast that looked like a skunk. His first soul ring lit up, and a weak wave of soul power enveloped the entire team. Along the way, the snakes and insects retreated one after another, making the team's progress much smoother. Vega reminded softly, "This can only repel ordinary snakes and insects, and can also make ordinary beasts retreat, but it has no effect on spirit beasts, so don't relax your vigilance." Norbert relied on his rich experience to find the clues left by Feng Xinghu. Sniffing snake, possessed. He used his martial spirit. Fine scales appeared on his skin, and his eyes turned into vertical pupils. Norbert kept shaking his tongue, which had turned into a snake letter, and relied on the traces he found to track the target. Amon also felt the professionalism of these mercenaries firsthand. Each has a division of labor and complementary abilities, which makes hunting a lot easier. Previously in Frostleaf City, the people sent by Ma Wen to help him used the most stupid method to try their luck in an area. After staying in the mountains for a long time, they led him to find the blackmail beast like a blind cat encountering a dead mouse. As he walked, Norbert slowed down. There is an open area ahead, with a large stone in the center. On the stone, there is a green and white tiger lying on it, combing its body hair with its tongue from time to time. The Fengxing tiger, judging from the markings on its tail, is probably around 1,500 years old, which is just right for you, young master. Vega observed for a moment and said to Bidar. "Very good, that's it." Vidal nodded, satisfied. Feng Xinghu seemed to smell the danger and became alert. It stood up and looked around with its yellow eyes. "This beast seems to have noticed us. Hurry up and use an enveloping formation to prevent it from escaping. Also, remember to hold back a little and let Master Vidal deliver the final blow." Vega said softly. Then with his gesture, the mercenaries rushed out. Tappa's martial spirit is a bird, and he quickly flew to the other side to prevent the wind-walking tiger from escaping. A 1,500-year-old soul beast couldn't make any trouble under the siege of several soul masters, and was soon beaten to the point of dying. Vidal, who was possessed by the martial spirit, cut Feng Xinghu's throat with a dagger. A purple soul ring emerged, Vidal said with some excitement. Help me protect the law. The mercenaries formed a circle, guarding the surroundings to prevent blind soul beasts from disturbing them. In fact, this is the goal that this trip must complete, because Vidal is the one who pays. As for Amon's eyeless snake, they don't have high hopes, they just come with the attitude of giving it a try. It is not an easy task to kill a soul beast that is comparable to the peak soul sect. In the jungle, it is too difficult to catch up with the soul beast when it escapes. At least a higher level soul master is needed to firmly restrain it and prevent it from escaping smoothly, relying on their numerical advantage. They were almost certain to defeat the 5,000-year eyeless snake in a head-on battle, but they were only defeated. After a period of time, the turbulent soul power around Vidal gradually calmed down, and he successfully advanced to Soul Master. Haha! It's finally done. He laughed, with the soul power still stirring around him that he had not fully controlled, and said to Amon, next let's go find the eyeless snake. That thing is difficult to deal with. You should be prepared yourself, right? Amon pinched his monocle and said with a chuckle, as long as it can be found, it can't run away. Suddenly, a scream of awe came. A soul master on guard was taken away by a white figure that flashed in the jungle. Chapter 28 Eyeless Snake. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. What? Everyone looked at the direction where the soul master disappeared with a serious look. Vega's face was even uglier, because the victims were his men. Maybe, it was the eyeless snake. Norbert guessed, the last time I saw it, it was tracking the wind tiger. Yen Jin. Amon said lightly. I understand. Yen Jin took a step forward, and the rolling lava churned. Volcano bomb. Under the impetus of her second soul ring skill, the magma balls flew to the bushes in front. The scattered magma ignited the trees, and in an instant, the fire burned fiercely and tended to spread to the surroundings. Vidal said hesitantly, is it not good to set fire to the mountain? It doesn't matter. There are so many soul beasts with fire attributes in the forest, but there are almost no fires. Soul beasts will instinctively protect their habitats, and if the fire is not too big, they will put it out. For us, this is just a resource acquisition point, but for them, it is their home for survival. Because it is located in the volcanic zone, the continuity of the forest in the Iron Heart Mountains is not very high. It is a small piece, we don't have to worry about it causing too much damage. And the forest has a self-regulating mechanism. When there are too many fire elements in an area, water elements will gather to offset the negative effects of the excessive concentration of fire elements. What's more, Yen Jin's battle in the forest will inevitably cause some damage, and now it's just in advance. Amon had a gentle smile on his face, but the mercenaries on the side felt that this smile was colder than ice. A burst of soul power suddenly broke out from the bushes, and the soil on the ground seemed to have life, wrapping up the burning trees and extinguishing the flames. A huge white-scaled snake slowly poked out its upper body from a branch on one side that had not been affected by the flames. It has no eyes, two horns on its head that bend backwards, its mouth is black, and its scales are snow-white, but the shape of these scales is very strange, like twisted worms. Amon's mouth corner slightly raised. This is his goal. Eyeless snake. Calderon frowned. Isn't this a little too big? After his reminder, the others suddenly realized that the part of the snake's body that was sticking out was so huge, and more parts were hidden in the tree canopy, making it difficult to see clearly, but its size was definitely more than 10 meters. Eyeless snakes grow 2 meters every 1,000 years, which means that this snake has exceeded expectations. Do you still want to fight? Vidal asked. If it can't absorb the spirit ring after the age, then hunting is useless, it's just a waste of effort. Now it's not a question of whether we want to fight or not, but this guy has no intention of letting us go. It regards us as prey. Vega looked solemn. It just so happens that I don't intend to let it go. It's still within my hunting range. Amon pinched his monocle and said slowly. The mouth of the eyeless snake opened slightly, as if showing a mocking smile to Vega and others. It slowly climbed down from the tree canopy, its snake body winding and cruising. Weird but beautiful, when they saw its full appearance, the mercenary and Vidal couldn't help but gasp. This eyeless snake is 18 or 19 meters long, which is very close to a 10,000-year-old soul beast. Didn't you say it was only 5,000 years old? Even if there is an error in visual estimation, you are too far off, right? Vega shouted at Norbert with anger. Norbert was also frightened by the eyeless snake. He stuttered and said, I. The last time I saw it, it shouldn't be this big. Should? Shit, open your eyes and look, this is not supposed to be that big. You killed it. Don't panic, there are so many of us, and we may not be afraid of it if we join forces. Vidal shouted, trying to stabilize morale. With so many people, it is not a problem to deal with soul beasts comparable to the Soul King level if they cooperate well, but the trouble is that most people have lost their fighting spirit when they see it. Even Vidal himself was thinking about whether to run away directly. Anyway, as long as you run faster than your teammates, it will be fine. There are still 14 great soul masters, and he is definitely not the last one. But he quickly gave up this idea. This is in the forest, and running away will only lead to being defeated one by one. The eyeless snake is a soul beast known for its perception and sharpness. If the opponent is determined to kill it, it will not be able to escape at all. Don't think about running away alone. You should have made preparations before coming here and understand what kind of soul beast the eyeless snake is. In this huge forest, we can't get rid of its tracking at all. Ricci and Koman's eyes flashed, looked at each other, took a fighting posture, and recognized Vidal's words. Damn beast. Vega cursed in a low voice, and then asked his great soul masters to prepare for the enemy. The eyeless snake slowly approached, trying to make the opponent give up the group through the increasing sense of oppression. Before it could make further threats, it suddenly stopped its body, and swung its upper body to one side with the middle of its body as a pointer like a pendulum. A flash of lightning passed by its body and hit the ground diagonally, leaving a charred area. The mercenaries looked at Lei Yin in surprise. They didn't expect that this half-grown boy would dare to take the initiative to attack. However, Amon sensed a little about the eyeless snake from its dodge just now. He saw clearly that when the white-scaled snake was dodging, Lei Yin had not attacked at all. It looked like Lei Yin attacked and then it dodged, but in fact it made an evasive move first, and then Lei Yin attacked. It can probably predict the opponent's move half a second or 1 second later. With Lei Yin as an example, the mercenaries also showed their martial spirits one by one and launched attacks. They believed that they were not even worse than a child. The attackers were all soul masters with long-range skills, and no one dared to approach this behemoth for the time being. To everyone's surprise, the eyeless snake dodged all attacks just right with its flexibility that was completely inconsistent with its huge body, and it didn't even make a single unnecessary move. Seeing this scene, everyone's face became more solemn. The eyeless snake wanted to continue approaching, but a burning pain came from its side. It opened its mouth, let out a silent roar, twisted its body in response, and moved a few meters to the other side. This skin is really thick. Yan Jin stood beside it, looking at the burns on its abdomen, dissatisfied with the results of his battle. The eyeless snake did not attack the human who dared to approach it. Instead, it moved horizontally for a long distance, coiled up its body, and took a defensive posture. Its brain, which was not very intelligent, fell into deep doubts. It should have been able to see all the dangers that would be unfavorable to itself in 1 second, so as to respond in advance, but it did not foresee the action of Yan Jin just now. This made it feel daunted. In fact, it was Amon who cooperated. When Yan Jin rushed over, he launched a deception on the eyeless snake, making its thinking sluggish and breaking the precognition, which allowed Yan Jin to succeed. The mercenaries could not believe their eyes. How dare she just run over and punch the other party? This is an eyeless snake that is close to the 10,000-year level. They were scared just by looking at it from a distance, but this little girl was not afraid at all. Facts have proved that Yan Jin is really not afraid. She is really brave. Turning her wrist, Yan Jin rushed forward straight. Chapter 29 Predicting the Future. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The eyeless snake has no eyes. It relies on soul power to detect and perceive the outside world. there are originally two worlds in its mind, one is the current scene, and the other is the scene 1 second later. Others are affected by fraud and their thinking becomes slower, and the information received in their minds will be a beat slower, which can be said to be past scenes. For the eyeless snake, the impact of slow thinking is that the future scene overlaps with the present scene. It can still respond effectively to changes in the outside world, but it is no longer as sensitive as before. After Yen Jin approached the eyeless snake, the soul power fluctuation on his body suddenly increased a lot, from the original Great Soul Master to the level of Soul Master, or the level of 38 or 39. This is thanks to Amon's assistance. The time worm can parasitize other people's bodies and martial souls. If Amon is willing and the parasitic person is willing to cooperate, then this is a kind of martial soul fusion. Martial soul fusion is originally a special skill with huge consumption, but there are many level 20 time worms in Yen Jin's body. They continuously provide soul power and bear the huge consumption. As the soul power level increases, the magma martial soul becomes hotter and more lethal. After the upgrade, Yen Jin can already fight against the soul sect. The power of the eyeless snake is largely due to its ability to predict the future. After being weakened by Amon's fraud, it doesn't look like anything on the surface, but its combat power is greatly reduced. Big fire. This time, Yen Jin's attack was more powerful than any previous time, and even she was shocked. After a moment of hesitation, she laughed, "Ha ha ha, Amon, this guy, he has such a method but didn't use it earlier." The eyeless snake dodged the magma and opened its mouth to bite Yen Jin. The latter immediately created a large ball of magma to block in front of him, and he quickly retreated. Her second soul skill, soul power ejection, can act not only on martial souls, but also on herself. Whenever the dark mouth of the eyeless snake was about to bite her, she would eject and dodge. After chewing the lava several times and getting blisters in the mouth, the eyeless snake gave up the idea of swallowing Yen Jin. With a burst of white light, the soil around the eyeless snake suddenly became unusually soft, like dough. It turned over on the ground and rolled on a layer of soil. Then, with the addition of soul power, the soil became hard and formed a thick armor. The originally slender white snake turned into a brown, python-like thick snake. The lava bombarded the armor, but only broke a small hole, and it recovered immediately. TSK. Yen Jin dodged the whip of the snake's tail, and his face was not very good. Even the weakened and clumsy eyeless snake was still not something she could deal with. Lightning flashed, and Lei Yin, who also merged with Amon's time worm, condensed a thunder spear and threw it at the snake's head. The thunder spear exploded, but the effect was not very good. The eyeless snake just shook its head and recovered. Vidal was stunned by the performance of the two. He thought that if he held on to these 3 thighs, he might be able to win the Soul Master competition. There were still 3 years before the next competition. How far could these monsters grow in 3 years? At the age of Yen Jin and Lei Yin, their bodies and souls were growing rapidly. As for Amon, nothing could be seen at present, but Vidal was convinced that he was not simple at all. What are you still doing? Go and help. Vidal shouted at Vega and others. Oh, yes. The mercenaries had even less experience, so when they saw Yen Jin and Lei Yin burst out with fighting power that was not inferior to that of the Soul Sect, they were more shocked than Vidal. However, with the two as the main force to contain the front, they were not so afraid of the eyeless snake, and they all stepped forward. Under the siege of more than 20 Soul Masters, the soul power consumption of the eyeless snake increased, and there was a tendency that it could not maintain the mud armor. Opportunity. Thunder Dragon. Lei Yin seized the moment when the mud armor was broken by Vega's slash, condensed his soul power, and created a 5 or 6 meter long lightning dragon. The moment the thunder dragon left his hand, it arrived at the target. Boom. With the thunder explosion, the mud splashed. There was a bloody wound on the body of the eyeless snake. It suddenly turned around and rushed towards the forest without looking back, except for Yen Jin, who created a lava wall to block it for a moment. The other mercenaries did not interfere too much and let it leave. When they saw the eyeless snake disappear in the forest, they all breathed a sigh of relief. The mercenaries had no intention of fighting to the death with this soul beast. They just wanted to leave now. What were you doing just now? Yen Jin was angry and blamed the mercenaries for not trying their best. Vega said apologetically, "You saw that our siege was not without damage. 2 of my brothers were seriously injured by it. And our original target was only the 5,000-year-old eyeless snake. The one just now was obviously beyond the scope. He would put on such an attitude because of Yan Jin's strength. Most mercenaries are not good-tempered. If another employer spoke to them so impolitely, they might encounter accidents. Humph, don't think you can get the full payment like this. Vidal snorted coldly and chose to stand on Yan Jin's side. A fierce light flashed in Vega's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. He smiled and said, Master Vidal, we didn't break the agreement. We helped you hunt the wind tiger, and we also tried our best to help you hunt the eyeless snake. If this eyeless snake is indeed 5,000 years old as you said, it must have been able to escape just now. Shouldn't we bear the responsibility for the wrong intelligence? After he said this, Vidal turned his eyes to Norbert, whose face was livid, but he couldn't say anything to refute, misjudged the age of the soul beast, and the gap was so big. Such a major mistake obviously could not be shirked. Since you are not going to continue, then leave. Amon pinched his monocle and chuckled. Vidal frowned and asked, You don't want to continue hunting the eyeless snake just now, do you? Since I have encountered it, how can I give up? Amon nodded. But you also saw the situation just now. That soul beast is too strong. Vidal tried to dissuade. I am certain. Thank you for your help. Our agreement is still valid. Amon said to him with a smile. After hesitating for a moment, Vidal still couldn't make a decision to go with them. Then you pay attention to safety. We will evacuate first. Be careful on the road. After they left, Yan Jin muttered, What a coward. Lei Yin shook his head. If I didn't trust Mr. Amon, would have made the same decision as them. Oh, so, then I will do the same. Chapter 30 Revenge. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Vidal and the mercenaries were on their way back. They made 2 simple stretchers with branches and vines, carrying 2 soul masters who were seriously injured by the eyeless snake during the siege. Norbert, remember this, half of the loss this time will be on your head. Vega did not dare to point the spear at Vidal, and could only vent his anger on Norbert, the lone traveler. Humph, do you think this is what I want to see? The last time I saw it was indeed not so big. Norbert said this, and suddenly looked at a big tree on the side in horror. On the tree trunk, the abdomen was injured by thunder, a piece of burnt black, and the white-scaled snake that was still dripping with blood stared at them coldly. Although it had no eyes, its body as tight as a bow showed that it had locked the target. Run! He roared, and at the same time quickly distanced himself from this terrifying creature. The eyeless snake popped out like lightning, opened its big black mouth, and bit Benini, who was walking at the end. The latter was swallowed before he could even scream. Norbert could clearly see a bulge sliding down its throat and finally disappearing into the wider part of its body. A soul master was eaten without any resistance. This made the others even more terrified. Is this beast so vengeful? He didn't even care about his wounds and ran straight to deal with us. Vidal's face turned pale. Shit! Vega cursed, maybe we should have stopped it just now. Although they were terrified, the mercenaries did not sit still and wait for death. They all used their martial souls to fight back. Don't worry, it has consumed a lot of soul power and its injuries are not light. Reiki shouted, stabilizing the somewhat scattered team. The eyeless snake did not entangle, twisted its tail, and disappeared into the trees in a flash. Only the still shaking leaves were left, making a rustling sound. Although they had repelled it temporarily, the group was not happy at all. The brief contact just now caused the team to lose a soul master, and the eyeless snake had only waited a little. They continued to move forward with a more cautious attitude. Not long after, they found a giant snake corpse of more than 10 meters in front of them. The corpse was corroded by stomach acid, but it could be vaguely identified that it was also an eyeless snake, a smaller eyeless snake. There were 2 human corpses next to the snake corpse. One of them had completely lost its skin, and exposed muscles and bones could be seen. The other was Benini, who had just been devoured. I said I was not mistaken. This is the eyeless snake I saw. 10 meters, exactly 5,000 years. Norbert pointed at the snake corpse and shouted. Shit, that ghost thing ate its own kind. But when Koman, another captain of the Jackal mercenary group, saw this scene, his face became even uglier. Is it demonstrating to us, and expressing an attitude of fighting to the death? What does it mean? Vidal was puzzled. Snakes have the habit of vomiting food when they encounter danger or strong enemies to reduce the burden on their bodies. Snakes without food in their stomachs are more aggressive and threatening than snakes that are full. Koman explained. Look, the bodies of these two people and the snake were vomited out at the same time and placed on the road ahead of us. This means that when it was fighting with us in the open space just now, it had this smaller eyeless snake in its stomach and was full. Now we are ready to leave, and it is not threatened. Why do you think it vomited the food? Koman asked in a serious tone. After a little thought, Vidal said solemnly, for better hunting. Yes, it wants to hunt us and take revenge, and it doesn't hesitate to vomit the food it has caught with great difficulty. Koman nodded. Damn it. Vega cursed in a low voice. What should we do next? Layin asked, should we just go into the forest and track it? It seems that we can't beat it with just a few of us. Do you have any interesting tricks that you haven't used yet? Yen Jin looked at Amon expectantly. I'm sure you'll be surprised. Amon smiled lightly. The eyeless snake is a soul beast with a strong sense of revenge. If we stay together with the mercenaries, it may be afraid of our power and dare not act rashly. But after separation, it is very likely to take revenge. So this is deliberately showing weakness to the enemy? Layin pinched his chin lightly. Are we just going to wait here? Of course not, let's go and find Vidal and the others. Since the eyeless snake didn't attack us, it probably targeted the other side. Amon followed the traces left by the mercenaries along the way. Not long after, he came to the place where Norbert and others found the snake corpse. This is... Layin saw the 10-meter-long eyeless snake corpse and looked surprised. Cannibalism. It seems that what we just saw was not its strongest state. However, it doesn't make much difference. Amon glanced at Benini's body and confirmed that the eyeless snake was chasing the mercenaries. Continuing forward, he saw several more corpses along the way. Some were pierced through the chest by earth spikes, some were squeezed into a pile of meat paste, and some were blue and purple all over, poisoned to death. There were not many traces of battle in the places where these corpses were located, indicating that they were all killed in an instant. Will the golden hair not be eaten too? If so, considering that he is our reserve partner, I will collect his body. Yen Jin muttered softly. Amon shook his head and said, it shouldn't be that easy. His martial spirit is a cat-type martial spirit that is famous for its quick response. The gem cat is the best among them. With so many cannon fodders around him, he can still live longer. Of course, if they die one by one, he can't escape in the end. Yen Jin vaguely saw a white figure in the forest. Without thinking, he immediately fired several volcanic bombs. The eyeless snake twisted its body and quickly disappeared in the lush trees. TSK, it slipped away so fast. Amon, we can't kill it like this. No hurry. The eyeless snake thought it was well hidden. In the forest, it was the hunter, but it didn't know that pairs of eyes were watching it. They were insects with 12 links and star-like colors. Amon scattered a large number of time insects on the way here, and their tiny bodies were hidden in the branches and leaves. If the eyeless snake didn't turn back and fled into the depths of the forest, he really had no good way to track it, but it chose to take revenge on the mercenaries and plunged into the surveillance network set up by Amon. When they found Vidal and others, the mercenaries had suffered heavy casualties, and even Vega's brother Tapa died in the snake's mouth. Seeing Amon, he couldn't help but have a little more resentment in his eyes. It's all you, it's all you. My brother died because you insisted on looking for this damn ghost thing. The lone soul master Levi, who had not spoken much, stopped in front of him and whispered, now is not the time for internal strife, and you should have been mentally prepared to embark on the path of mercenaries. Vega took a step back dejectedly. Sorry, I lost my temper.